Dear students, welcome to this lecture on conflict resolution model developed by Morton Deutsch. The objective of this lecture are to explore the meaning of conflict, to discuss the conflict resolution mechanism, to provide a brief introduction to Morton Deutsch, to examine and understand his conflict resolution model, and finally, we will examine its core strategies, principles, and techniques. So let's get started and explore the fascinating world of conflict resolution with Morton Deutsch's model. Today, conflict resolution is an important field of study, and its theories can be of immense significance in the contemporary international political landscape, where the powerful often resort to force. Conflict resolution theories provide an alternative to this coercive machinery and can help us to foster peaceful change. Peace and conflict studies is an interdisciplinary field of study that examines the causes and dynamics of violence and war, as well as the conditions, institutions, and processes that contribute to the establishment and maintenance of peace. It's concerned with political, economic, social, psychological, and cultural forces that shape human behavior and relate to conflict, violence, and peace building. One of the central goals of peace and conflict studies is to understand the variety of factors that contribute to the escalation of conflict as well as forms of violence such as genocide, civil war, ethnic cleansing, and terrorism. This includes the role of structural factors such as poverty, economic inequality, and political marginalization, which can create conditions that breed violence. Another key area of focus in peace and conflict studies is the examination of various modes of conflict resolution, from diplomatic negotiation and mediation to peacekeeping and peace-building initiatives. This includes the role of international organizations such as the United Nations, as well as the role of civil society actors, including advocacy groups, grassroots organizations, and religious organizations. Overall, peace and conflict studies offer a multifaceted and nuanced approach to understanding the complex dynamics of violence and promoting peace. By drawing on a range of disciplinary perspectives, including political science, sociology, psychology, anthropology, and economics, it offers a comprehensive framework for analyzing and addressing the challenge of conflict and working towards a more peaceful world. In today's lecture, we will analyze and examine the conflict resolution model developed by Morton Deutsch. This model is a valuable tool for understanding and resolving conflicts in various contexts. It provides a framework for comprehending the dynamics of conflict and how to effectively resolve it. However, before doing that, let me explain two important terms: conflict and conflict resolution. What is conflict? Conflict refers to a situation where two or more parties have opposing goals or interests. This can take various forms, ranging from physical violence and armed conflict to a clash of interests between interdependent parties. According to Michael Nicholson, a conflict arises when two parties wish to carry out mutually inconsistent acts. For instance, when both parties want to stay together, but one wants to go to cinema and other wants to stay at home. Adam Curl defines conflict as any situation where potential development of one group is impeded by another. Moreover, John Galton's school of thought argues that injustice and structural violence can be seen as conflicts, even in the absence of physical violence and confrontation. Conflict can be detrimental to individuals, organizations, and society as a whole. It can lead to a breakdown of communication, loss of trust, and even violence. Therefore, it is essential to manage conflicts effectively to prevent them from escalating and causing harm. What is conflict resolution mechanism and management? Conflict is a natural part of human interaction, but it can be managed effectively to prevent harm and promote positive outcomes. By understanding the different types of conflicts and implementing effective conflict resolution strategies, individuals and organizations can build stronger relationships and achieve their goals. In this context, conflict resolution theorists emphasize the importance of intervention by skilled yet impartial third parties working outside of the official capacity to encourage new perspectives and foster healthier relationships. They strive to uncover the underlying causes of conflict and identify innovative solutions that the parties may have overlooked due to their dedication to their entrenched positions. Conflict resolution is about how parties can transition from zero-sum destructive patterns of conflict to positive-sum constructive outcomes. The goal is to create conflict resolution processes that are both acceptable to the parties in dispute and effective in resolving the conflict. The term conflict resolution is used in two senses, normative and descriptive. In the normative sense, conflict resolution can be defined as a change in a situation that removes the perceived conflict in a manner that is acceptable to all the parties to the dispute. A peaceful resolution is the achievement of such a resolution without violence, and just resolution is fair to both or all parties. In the descriptive sense, conflict resolution is often used to mean the way a conflict ends, irrespective of whether all the parties find the outcome acceptable. A wider term is certainly needed since many conflicts end in outcomes that fail to satisfy one or both of the parties. In the broader sense, conflict resolution would include outcomes that end the conflict by coercive or non-coercive means. Nevertheless, in both senses, conflict resolution essentially means a change in the situation which removes the underlying source of the dispute. This may come about through the agreement of the parties, but it may also happen through a change in the relationships between them or through the dissolution and replacement of the original parties. Another important aspect of conflict resolution is conflict management, which involves identifying the root cause of conflict, understanding the parties' interests and goals, and finding a mutually beneficial solution. It requires effective communication, active listening, and empathy. Conflict resolution strategies include negotiation, mediation, and arbitration. These methods can help parties find common ground and reach a resolution that satisfies everyone involved. Now, coming to the main section of this lecture, which is about the conflict resolution theory by Morton, Deutsch. Morton Deutsch was an American social psychologist and a leading figure in the field of conflict resolution. Deutsch was widely known for his contributions to the study of conflict resolution, social justice, and intergroup relations. He founded the International Center for Cooperation and Conflict Resolution at Columbia University in 1986, where he was also a professor of psychology and education. Morton authored numerous influential books and articles throughout his career, including The Resolution of Conflict, which is considered a seminal work in the field of conflict resolution. He also developed several conflict resolution methods and approaches, including the cooperative eye technique for improving communication and cooperation between conflicting parties. Morton's work has had a significant impact on the field of conflict resolution, and his contribution continue to shape research and practice in this area today. He received numerous awards and honors for his work, including the National Academy of Sciences Award for Behavioral Research, relevant to prevention of nuclear war and American Psychology Association's Distinguished Scientific Contribution Award. His conflict resolution theories continue to be used today in a variety of contexts, from international diplomacy to workplace conflict management. Morton Deutsch and his conflict resolution models. Morton, in his career as a leading expert on conflict resolution and mediation, developed several conflict resolution models during his career. Here are some of his notable models. The competing model. In this model, the parties involved in the conflict try to win the conflict at all costs. This model is useful in situations where quick decisions need to be made, but it can lead to a winner takes all the outcomes that may not be satisfactory for both the parties. The collaborating model. In this model, the parties work together to find a mutually beneficial solution to the conflict. This model requires a high degree of trust between the parties and can be time consuming, but it can result in a creative solutions that satisfy everyone involved. The compromising model. In this model, the parties negotiate a compromise that is acceptable to everyone involved. This model can be useful when time is limited, but it may not result in a solution that fully satisfies everyone. The avoiding model. In this model, the parties involved in the conflict simply avoid it altogether. This model can be useful when the conflict is a minor or when the parties are not yet ready to address the issue, but it can also lead to further resentment and misunderstanding if the conflict is not eventually resolved. Another important contribution by Morton is the development of the typology of conflicts. Morton is also renowned for his typology of conflicts, which he compared to those previously outlined by Boulding in 1962 in the inaugural editions of the Journal of Conflict Resolution. Morton's typology provides a comprehensive framework for understanding the various types of conflicts that can arise in interpersonal, organizational, and societal contexts. His typology includes the vertical conflict, which is a conflict that exists objectively and is perceived accurately. It's not contingent upon some easily altered feature of the environment. Contingent conflict, which is contingent upon an easily altered feature of the environment. Displaced conflict, where the parties are arguing about the wrong thing. The conflict being experienced is the manifest conflict, while the one that is not being directly expressed is the underlying conflict. Misattributed conflict, where conflict is between the wrong parties and over the wrong issues. Latent conflict, a conflict that should be occurring but it is not. False conflict, where there is no objective basis for a conflict at all. This occurs when there is a misperception or misunderstanding. Theory of cooperation and competition. Morton is known for his theory of cooperation and competition in the conflict resolution process. Morton's theory of cooperation and competition is a social psychological theory that examines the factors that influence whether people will cooperate or compete with each other in various situations. Morton extended Kurt Levin's reasoning about social interdependence and formulated a theory of cooperation and competition. The model suggests that cooperation and competition are not mutually exclusive but can coexist to different degrees depending on the situation and the individuals or groups involved. For example, in a competitive situation, individuals or groups may engage in cooperative behavior to achieve their goals more effectively, or in a cooperative situation, individuals or groups may engage in competitive behavior to ensure their interests are being met. According to Morton, cooperation and competition are two basic modes of social interaction that have different outcomes and require different types of communication and behavior. While applying the model, group members can believe that their goals are cooperatively or competitively related or unrelated. In cooperation, individuals' goal achievements are positively correlated. Individuals perceive that they can reach their goals if and only if the other in the group also reach their goals. Thus, individuals seek outcomes that are beneficial to all those with whom they are cooperatively linked. In competition, individuals work against each other to achieve a goal that only one or a few can attain. Individuals' goal achievements are negatively correlated. Each individual perceives that when one person achieves his or her goal, all others with whom he or she is competitively linked fail to achieve their goals. Thus, individuals seek an outcome that is personally beneficial but detrimental to all others in the situation. In independence, there is no correlation among participants' goal attainments. Each individual perceives that he or she can reach his or her goal regardless of whether other individuals attain or do not attain their goals. Thus, individuals seek an outcome that is personally beneficial without concern for the outcomes of others. Of course, most situations are mix of these pure forms. We hypothesized that how group members believe their goals are predominantly related very much affects how they work together. Morton argues that the level of cooperation or competition in a given situation is influenced by following factors. First, goals. The goals of individuals or groups involved can have a significant impact on whether they cooperate or compete. If the goals are compatible and require cooperation, people are more likely to work together. If the goals are incompatible and require competition, people are more likely to work against each other. Another important factor is the communication. Effective communication can help to build trust and understanding between individuals or groups, which can increase the likelihood of cooperation. Poor communication, on the other hand, can lead to misunderstandings and conflicts, which can increase the likelihood of competition. Power. Power imbalances between the individuals or groups can create competition, as the more powerful party may seek to maintain its advantage. However, if power is distributed more equally, cooperation is more likely. Resources. Limited resources can create competition as individuals or groups compete for access to those resources. However, if resources are shared equitably, cooperation is more likely. Personal characteristics. Individual characteristics such as personality, values, and attitudes can also influence whether people cooperate or compete. For example, individuals who are more cooperative and empathetic are more likely to work together, while those who are more competitive and individualistic are more likely to work against each other. Thus, the theory suggested that cooperation and competition are not fixed traits but are influenced by a variety of situational and contextual factors. By understanding these factors, it is possible to create environments that promote cooperation and discourage competition, which can lead to a more positive outcome for all involved. The most important implication of cooperation competition theory is that a cooperative or win-win orientation to resolving a conflict enormously facilitates constructive resolution, while a competitive or win-lose orientation hinders it. It's easier to develop and maintain a win-win attitudes if you have a social support for it. Social support can come from friends, co-workers, employers, the media, or your community. To have a win-win attitude in a hostile environment, it is valuable to become part of a network of people or a member of group with similar orientations that can extend social support to you. It's also helpful to develop personal strengths and skills that are useful in bucking the tide. Morton's model of cooperation and competition is a valuable framework for comprehending intricacies of social interaction. It sheds light on the various forms of communication and behavior that are essential for successful cooperation or competition. Additionally, it emphasizes the significance of acknowledging the underlying factors that impact the level of cooperation or competition in a social interaction. By managing these factors, mutually beneficial outcomes can be achieved. Dear students, while concluding this lecture, we can say that conflict can begin when some social or political changes leads to a potential dispute or clash of interests within a society or the international system. This latent conflict can then lead to the formation of organized parties or the adoption of the dispute by existing parties. When parties perceive that they are in a conflict and that the goal they are pursuing are incompatible, overt conflict can occur, potentially leading to the use of violence and armed conflict or the resolution of differences and settlement of the dispute through other peaceful or diplomatic means. One of the pioneers in exploring the advantages of cooperation in a conflict resolution was Morton Deutsch. According to Morton, several factors such as the nature of the dispute and the goals of each party play a crucial role in determining the negotiating approach that each party will adopt. There are two fundamental orientations, competitive and cooperative. Morton also predicts the type of interaction that will occur between the negotiating parties based on their disputing style. A cooperative approach fosters an atmosphere of trust and leads to the mutually beneficial settlement options. Conversely, a competitive approach leads to win-lose outcomes, intensifying animosity and distrust between parties, and is generally considered destructive. However, some critics argue that both cooperation and competition are necessary to some extent to achieve conflict resolution, since negotiating a desirable agreement always involves common and diverse goals. Therefore, finding a balance between these two approaches is the key to successful negotiation. Morton's work has had a profound influence on the field of conflict resolution, and his models are still widely used today in various contexts, ranging from international diplomacy to managing conflicts in the workplace. His contributions have been instrumental in shaping the way we approach and resolve conflicts, and his legacy continues to inspire new generations of scholars and practitioners in the field. Morton's insights and methodologies have proven to be invaluable tools for achieving peaceful and constructive outcomes in even the most challenging and complex situations. Morton's cooperative and competition model provides a comprehensive understanding of the dynamics of social interaction. It is a useful tool for individuals seeking to navigate complex social situations and achieve positive outcomes. Dear students, with this, I conclude today's lecture. I hope you have benefited from it. I look forward to seeing you next time with a new topic. Until then, goodbye and take care.